Space was quiet near the edge of the Caltharian Empire. Admiral Vextai stood on the bridge of his massive warship, looking out at the stars. His ship was 3 kilometers long and carried enough weapons to destroy planets. Around him, 11 other ships moved in perfect formation. These were not just any ships. They were the pride of the Caltharian fleet. The admiral had lived for 300 years. In all that time, he had never seen anyone challenge the Empire's power. The Caltharians ruled 700 star systems. Every alien species bowed to them or died. It was simple and it was final. "Sir," called out his communications officer, "we are approaching the old Terran zone." Vextai smiled coldly. The Terran zone was a forbidden area of space. Long ago, a primitive species called humans had lived there. The Empire had dealt with them quickly. Now that whole section of space was empty and marked as dangerous. No one was allowed to go there. "Good," Vextai said. "We will make sure nothing has changed." But something was about to change everything. Far away, in the darkness between stars, space began to bend. Reality twisted like cloth being pulled tight. Energy gathered in ways that should have been impossible. The laws of physics screamed in protest as something forced its way through dimensions. Captain Jiho Kim stood calmly on his bridge as his ship finished its journey through folded space. Around him, his crew worked at their stations with quiet efficiency. They had trained for this moment their entire lives. Today, humanity would announce its return to the galaxy. "Report," Kim said simply. Chief Engineer Minji Park checked her instruments. The Alcubierre drive had worked perfectly. They had traveled from Earth to this point in minutes instead of years. "All systems green, Captain. The drive is stable." Tactical Officer Hyun-Woo Lee studied his screens. 12 Caltharian ships detected. Heavy cruiser class. "They are in standard patrol formation," Kim nodded. Everything was going according to plan. "Communications, are you ready?" Lieutenant Commander Soyoung Choi looked up from her station. "Yes, sir. All translation protocols are active. We can speak with them." The captain walked to the center of his bridge. His ship, the UES Dauntless, was humanity's most advanced warship. It was smaller than the Caltharian vessels, but packed with technology that would have seemed like magic to people from an earlier time. Every system had been tested and improved over decades of secret development. "Take us out of stealth mode," Kim ordered. Commander Tai-Hyun Shin pressed several buttons. Around the Dauntless, advanced camouflage fields shut down. The ship became visible to normal sensors. On the Caltharian flagship, alarms began ringing immediately. "Admiral," shouted the sensor operator, "unknown vessel has appeared directly in front of us." Vextai spun around. On his main screen, a strange ship hung in space where moments before there had been nothing. The vessel was angular and black, with energy crackling along its hull. He had never seen anything like it. "Where did it come from?" he demanded. "Unknown, sir. It just appeared. Our sensors detected nothing until this moment." The admiral studied the strange ship. It was maybe 800 meters long, tiny compared to his own vessel, but something about it made him nervous. The energy patterns were unlike anything in Imperial databases. "Open communications," he ordered. "Let us see what manner of fool dares to enter Imperial space." On the Dauntless, Soyoung received the incoming signal. "Captain, they're trying to talk to us." "Put them through," Kim said. The main screen showed a tall, lizard-like alien with cold yellow eyes. When the admiral spoke, his voice was full of authority and contempt. "Unknown vessel, you have entered territory of the Caltharian Empire. Identify yourself immediately and prepare to be boarded for inspection." Captain Kim stepped forward so the alien could see him clearly. When he spoke, his voice was calm, but carried the weight of absolute determination. "This is Captain Jiho Kim of the United Earth ship Dauntless. You are trespassing in human space. You have 60 seconds to withdraw your forces." On the Imperial bridge, complete silence fell. The admiral stared at the human in disbelief. In 3 centuries, no one had ever spoken to him like that. No primitive species had ever made demands of the Empire. Then Vextai began to laugh. It started as a quiet chuckle and grew into loud, mocking laughter. His bridge crew joined in, though they looked nervous. "Human space," the admiral said when he could speak again. "Little creature, there are no humans anymore. We dealt with your pathetic species long ago. This sector has been empty for 200 years. Kim's expression didn't change. 50 seconds. The admiral's laughter stopped. "How dare this primitive being continue to threaten him? You will surrender immediately or we will destroy you and take your ship for study." You have no idea who you are dealing with. Dr. Nyan Han, the ship's science officer, had been analyzing the alien vessels. She leaned over to whisper to the captain. Sir, their weapons are plasma-based, early generation. Their shields use standard quantum patterns. Nothing we can't handle. Kim nodded. 30 seconds, he announced to the Caltharian admiral. Vextai's face darkened with rage. Weapons. Target that ship. I want it disabled, not destroyed. These humans will learn what happens when primitives challenge the Empire. On the Dauntless, tactical officer Hyunwoo Lee watched 12 massive ships turn their weapons toward them. Sir, they're powering up weapons. Multiple targeting locks detected. All hands, Kim announced over the ship's communication system. Battle stations. Show them what humans have learned. The bridge lights dimmed slightly as the ship's defensive systems came online. Around the hull, adaptive quantum armor began to charge. In the weapons bay, gravity manipulation systems hummed to life. Engineer Minji Park checked her readings one final time. Captain, all systems ready. The modifications are working perfectly. Kim looked at the alien admiral on his screen. Time's up. The admiral snarled and made a sharp gesture. Fire, all ships, fire! 12 Caltharian warships opened fire at once. Bright blue plasma beams lanced through space, converging on the small human vessel. Each beam carried enough energy to melt through a mountain. Together, they should have turned the Dauntless into vapor. But the beams struck the ship's hull and simply disappeared. The adaptive quantum armor absorbed the energy and fed it into the ship's power systems. The Dauntless sat completely undamaged in space, surrounded by a faint shimmer of energy fields. On the Imperial Bridge, every alien stared in shock. Their most powerful weapons had done nothing at all. Impossible, Vextai whispered. Captain Kim smiled for the first time. Your turn is over. Now it's ours. Admiral Vextai stared at his weapons display in disbelief. His most powerful plasma cannons had fired directly at the human ship. The energy readings showed perfect hits, but the strange vessel floated in space without even a scratch on its dark hull. Reload and fire again, he shouted. All ships, maximum power. His weapons officer looked confused. Sir, the weapons are already charged. We never stopped firing. The beams are hitting their target, but something is absorbing all the energy. On the Dauntless, Dr. Nayan Han watched her instruments with fascination. The Caltharian weapons were exactly what Earth scientists had predicted. Decades of studying crashed alien ships had prepared humanity for this moment. Captain, she reported, their plasma frequency is standard Imperial design. Our quantum absorption fields are handling it easily. In fact, their weapons are actually charging our power cells. Captain Kim nodded. He had expected this. Earth's engineers had studied every piece of alien technology they could find. Crashed ships, abandoned equipment, even fragments from old battles. Everything had been collected and analyzed. Humanity had learned the galaxy's secrets while staying hidden. Communications, Kim said to So-Young Choi. Try to establish diplomatic contact. We'll give them one more chance. So-Young sent a signal to the Caltharian flagship. Unknown vessels, this is the UES Dauntless. We wish to discuss peaceful withdrawal from this system. Please respond. The answer came as another massive barrage of plasma fire from all 12 alien ships. The weapons hit the Dauntless and again did nothing at all. Commander Tai-Hyun Shin shook his head. Sir, they're not interested in talking. Their formation shows they're planning to surround us. Kim had studied every battle record from alien conflicts. The Caltharian Empire always used the same tactics. They surrounded enemies with superior numbers and firepower. It had worked for centuries against every species they encountered. But humans were different. Hyunwoo, Kim said to his tactical officer, show them why that's a mistake. Hyunwoo Lee's fingers moved over his controls. The Dauntless had weapons unlike anything in the galaxy. While other species built bigger guns that shot faster, humans had learned to manipulate the fundamental forces of reality itself. Gravity lance charged and ready. Captain? Kim looked at the main screen where Admiral Vextai was shouting orders to his fleet. The alien ships were moving into an attack formation that would have trapped any normal vessel. Fire. The Dauntless released a focused beam of gravitational energy. The weapon was invisible to normal sensors, but its effect was immediate and terrible. The beam struck the nearest Caltharian cruiser and created a micro-black hole inside the ship's hull. The alien vessel began to collapse in on itself. Metal groaned and twisted as gravity pulled the ship apart from within. In seconds, a massive warship that had taken years to build simply ceased to exist. On the Imperial flagship, Every alien crew member stood frozen in terror. They had just watched one of their most powerful ships get destroyed by a weapon they couldn't even see. What was that? Vextay whispered. His science officer was frantically checking instruments. Unknown, Admiral. Our sensors detected no energy discharge from their vessel. The ship just collapsed. Another Caltharian cruiser tried to retreat, but Hyunwoo was already tracking it. A second gravity lance created another micro-black hole. The fleeing ship disappeared as quickly as the first. 2 down, Hyunwoo reported calmly. In the engine room of the Dauntless, Chief Engineer Minji Park watched her power systems with satisfaction. The quantum reactors were running perfectly. The alien weapons were actually helping by feeding energy into their defensive grid. Engineering to bridge, she called. Power levels at 120%. Their weapons are making us stronger. Captain Kim almost smiled. Earth scientists had discovered something the galactic empires never understood. Instead of building bigger weapons that used more energy, humans had learned to turn their enemies' power against them. Navigation, Kim called to Jiwan Yang. Execute evasion pattern Delta. Navigator Jiwan Yang was connected to the ship's systems through a neural interface that let her think at computer speeds. Her consciousness merged with the ship's sensors and engines. She could see every shot before it was fired and move the ship like it was her own body. The Dauntless began to dance through space. Plasma beams that should have been impossible to dodge were avoided with movements that looked almost supernatural. The ship twisted and spun through 3 dimensions, never where the enemy expected it to be. How are they moving like that? Admiral Vextay demanded. No ship can change direction that quickly. His navigator was sweating with fear. Sir, their movements don't follow any physics we understand. They're pulling forces that should tear their ship apart, but their hull doesn't even show stress. What the aliens didn't know was that human engineers had also solved the problem of inertia. The crew of the Dauntless felt no effects from their impossible maneuvers, because the ship's gravity manipulation systems protected them. Weapons Officer Minho Kang had been waiting patiently for his moment. Now he had clear shots at 3 more enemy vessels. Captain, request permission to engage multiple targets. Granted, Kim replied. 3 more gravity lances fired simultaneously. 3 more Caltharian warships collapsed into nothingness. In less than 5 minutes, the human ship had destroyed 5 vessels without taking any damage. Admiral Vextay finally understood that this was not a battle he could win. His remaining ships were retreating in panic, but their enemy was faster and could apparently destroy them at will. All ships, emergency jump to hyperspace, he ordered. Retreat to Imperial Command immediately. The surviving Caltharian vessels began charging their jump drives. But before they could escape, Intelligence Officer Seokmin Oh had already hacked into their communication systems. Captain, Seokmin reported. I've intercepted their retreat orders. They're planning to report this encounter to something called Imperial Command. Should I stop them? Kim considered for a moment. Let them run. Let them tell their superiors what they had seen. Fear would spread faster than any weapon. Let them go, he decided, but monitor all their communications. I want to know everything they report. The remaining Caltharian ships disappeared into hyperspace, leaving the Dauntless alone among the wreckage of their fallen comrades. Medical Officer Yuna Bay checked her reports. Captain, no human casualties. Minor stress injuries only. Kim nodded. The battle had gone exactly as planned. But this was just the beginning. Earth's intelligence networks had been tracking Imperial movements for decades. They knew this was only a patrol fleet. The real test would come when the Empire sent its main forces. So-young, he called to his communications officer. Send a message to Earth Command. Tell them Phase 1 is complete. The galaxy knows we're back. Dr. Nayeon Han had been studying the wreckage of the destroyed alien ships. Her scanners were picking up interesting data. Captain, I'm detecting life pods from the destroyed vessels. Some of the aliens survived. Rescue them, Kim ordered. We're not monsters. Maybe we can learn something about their empire. As the Dauntless moved to collect survivors, Captain Kim looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, the retreating Caltharians were spreading word of humanity's return. Soon the entire galaxy would know that humans were no longer hiding. The real war was about to begin. The rescued Caltharian survivors sat in the Dauntless's holding cells, still shaking from what they had witnessed. Dr. Nayeon Han studied them through the transparent barriers, while Medical Officer Yuna Bay treated their injuries. They're terrified, Yuna reported to Captain Kim. "I've never seen aliens this frightened. They keep asking how we made their ships disappear." Kim nodded. Fear was a powerful weapon, sometimes more effective than any gun, but he needed information more than he needed scared prisoners. "Dr. Han, what have you learned from their equipment?" Nayan pulled up her analysis on the bridge's main screen. "Captain, their technology is exactly what we expected. Standard Imperial designs from about 50 years ago. Nothing new or innovative. They've been using the same weapons and shields for decades." This was what Kim had hoped to hear. While the Caltharian Empire had grown comfortable with their power, humanity had been working in secret. Every crashed ship, every piece of abandoned technology, every refugee who escaped Imperial space, all of it had been studied by Earth scientists. "What they don't understand," Nayan continued, "is that humans approach technology differently than other species. When the Empire finds something that works, they mass-produce it and never change it. When humans find something that works, we immediately try to make it better." Intelligence Officer Seokman. Oh looked up from his station. "Captain, I've finished analyzing their communications. The survivors sent a priority message to something called the Imperial War Council. They're describing our weapons as impossible and requesting immediate reinforcement." "How long before those reinforcements arrive?" Kim asked. "Based on their hyperspace routes, approximately 6 hours." Kim smiled. 6 hours was plenty of time to prepare a proper welcome for the Empire's next fleet. "Commander Shin," he called to his first officer. "Signal Earth Command. Tell them to begin Phase 2. Taehyun Shin sent the coded message through quantum entanglement communicators that the Empire couldn't detect or jam. Within minutes, answers began arriving from across the solar system. 24 hours earlier, humanity had been hiding in one star system, pretending to be a dead civilization. Now ships began appearing throughout this sector of space as Earth's hidden fleet revealed itself. The UES Indomitable emerged from stealth near a nearby moon. Captain Jeon Kim, Jiho's younger sister, commanded this vessel. Her ship was even more advanced than the Dauntless, equipped with experimental stealth systems that could make it invisible even when firing weapons. "Brother," Jeon's voice came over the communications channel. "Nice work with the Imperial Patrol. Are you ready for the real challenge?" "Always," Jiho replied. "What's our tactical situation?" More ships appeared on the sensors. The UES Ghost, commanded by Captain Eugene Rowe, specialized in hit-and-run attacks. The UES Thunderbolt carried the fleet's heaviest weapons. Altogether, 15 human warships now filled the space where only one had been before. But these ships were different from anything the galaxy had ever seen. While alien civilizations built bigger vessels with more weapons, humans had focused on making their ships smarter and more adaptable. Engineer Chaeyoung Lim aboard the Indomitable sent a technical report to all ships. "All vessels, we've finished analyzing the enemy weapon frequencies. Our adaptive armor can now absorb 98% of Imperial firepower. Their plasma cannons are actually helping to charge our weapons." This was humanity's greatest advantage. While other species saw technology as fixed tools, humans saw it as something alive that could learn and grow. Their ships didn't just carry weapons. They carried artificial intelligence systems that could adapt to any threat in real time. Captain Eugene Rowe had personal reasons for fighting the Empire. His family had been slaves on an Imperial world until they escaped to Earth 20 years ago. He knew exactly how cruel the Caltharians could be. "All ships," Eugene broadcast. "Remember why we're here. Every Imperial vessel we destroy is one less weapon they can use against innocent people." The human fleet spread out across the system, taking positions that would let them strike from multiple directions. Each ship carried weapons that the Empire had never encountered because humans had invented them specifically to fight this war. 6 hours later, space began to ripple as Imperial reinforcements arrived. Admiral Kexvar commanded the new Imperial fleet from his massive dreadnought. He had brought 47 warships, including 3 super-heavy battleships that could destroy planets. When he saw the small human fleet waiting for him, he laughed. 15 ships against 47, he said to his bridge crew. These humans are either very brave or very stupid. Captain Jiho Kim opened communications with the Imperial fleet. "Admiral, this is your final warning. Leave this system immediately or face the consequences." Kexvar had read the reports from the first battle. Some primitive humans had somehow destroyed 5 ships using unknown weapons. But 47 ships were different from 12. The humans would be overwhelmed by sheer numbers. "Little human," the admiral replied. "You destroyed one patrol group and think you can challenge the Imperial Navy? Today you will learn why the Empire rules the galaxy." "Very well," Kim said calmly. "All ships, you are free to engage. Show them what humans can do." The battle began immediately, but not in the way the Imperial Admiral expected. Captain Ji-Yeon Kim's stealth ship, the Indomitable, fired first. Her gravity weapon struck 3 Imperial vessels before they even knew they were under attack. The ships collapsed into themselves, their hulls crushed by impossible gravitational forces. The Caltharians tried to return fire, but they couldn't target what they couldn't see. The Indomitable had already moved to a new position and was attacking different targets. Captain Yujin Ro's ship, the Ghost, appeared behind the Imperial formation. His vessel carried quantum torpedoes that could phase through normal shields and explode inside enemy hulls. 5 more Imperial ships died before they could react. "Where are they?" Admiral Kexver shouted. "How many ships do they have?" His sensors showed only 15 human vessels, but the attacks were coming from everywhere at once. The humans were moving faster than should have been possible, and striking with weapons that ignored every defensive system the Empire had developed. Weapons officer Minho Kang aboard the Dauntless had been waiting for this moment. His ship carried the prototype for humanity's most advanced weapon, a device that could manipulate time itself. "Captain," Minho reported. "Temporal distortion cannon ready." "Fire," Kim ordered. The weapon created a bubble of accelerated time around 5 Imperial ships. From the outside, the vessels seemed to age years and seconds. Their hulls rusted and corroded. Their power systems failed as components wore out instantly. In moments, 5 modern warships became ancient wrecks floating in space. Admiral Kexavar watched his fleet being destroyed by weapons that shouldn't exist. Half his ships were gone and the humans hadn't lost a single vessel. "Retreat," he ordered. "All ships emergency jump to hyperspace." But Intelligence Officer Seokmin-Oh was already 1 step ahead. He had been jamming the Imperial navigation systems from the moment the battle began. "Sir," the Imperial navigator reported in panic, "hyperspace drives are not responding." "We can't calculate jump coordinates." The Admiral realized he was trapped. His remaining ships couldn't escape, and the human weapons were destroying them one by one. "We surrender," he broadcast on all frequencies. "Please, we surrender." Captain Kim considered the request. The battle was over. The Imperial fleet was defeated, but this was about more than just one battle. "Admiral," Kim replied, "take this message back to your empire. Humanity is no longer hiding. We know about the slaves you've taken from our colonies. We know about the technology you've stolen from us. We're coming to take it all back." Kim allowed the surviving Imperial ships to repair their navigation systems and escape. As they jumped to hyperspace, he knew they would spread fear throughout the Empire. Dr. Nyan Han had been monitoring alien communications during the battle. "Captain, I'm detecting signals from across the galaxy. Word is spreading about human weapons. Some species are talking about rebellion against the Empire." This was exactly what Earth's planners had hoped for. The Empire ruled through fear, but fear could work both ways. If other species saw that the Caltharians could be defeated, the revolution would spread naturally. "Phase 2 complete," Captain Kim announced to his fleet. "Prepare for Phase 3, it's time to liberate our people." 3 days after the second battle, the human fleet had grown to over 50 ships. More vessels arrived daily from Earth and the outer colonies as humanity's hidden strength revealed itself. But Captain Jiho Kim wasn't thinking about numbers or weapons. He was staring at the holographic display in his ready room, trying to understand what his intelligence teams had discovered. The information had come from captured Imperial databases. Dr. Nyan Han and Intelligence Officer Seokmin-Oh had spent days breaking the alien encryption codes. What they found changed everything humanity thought they knew about their own history. "Show me again," Kim said quietly. Seokmin activated the display. A star map appeared showing hundreds of worlds throughout the galaxy. Red dots marked Imperial territories, but scattered among them were blue dots, worlds with human populations. 147 colonies, Captain, Seokmin reported. Some with populations in the millions. They've been there for over 2 centuries. Kim felt sick. For 200 years, Earth had believed they were the last humans in the galaxy. The Caltharian Empire had told them that all other human worlds had been destroyed during the war. But it had been a lie. They weren't destroyed, Dr. Han said softly. They were conquered. The populations were enslaved and told that Earth had abandoned them. For generations, these humans have been working in Imperial factories and mines, believing they had no home to return to. The door chimed, and Commander Tae-hyun Shin entered. "Captain, Fleet Admiral Yoonji Kwon is requesting a meeting with all ship commanders." "She's aboard the new flagship." Kim nodded. Admiral Kwon had arrived the previous day with Earth's main battle fleet. Her ship, the UES Indomitable, was humanity's largest vessel, a mobile command center designed to coordinate operations across multiple star systems. 20 minutes later, Kim found himself in a briefing room with 14 other human captains. Admiral Kwon stood before a massive holographic display showing the galaxy. She was a small woman with gray hair, but her eyes burned with determination. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, "what we've learned changes everything. The Empire didn't just defeat humanity in the past, they tried to erase us completely. They relocated Earth to an isolated sector, wiped our records from galactic databases, and enslaved our colonies while claiming we were extinct." Captain Ji-yeon Kim raised her hand. "Admiral, how did they hide this for so long?" "Because they're very good at controlling information," Kwon replied. "The Empire has been telling the galaxy that humans were a primitive species that destroyed themselves. Meanwhile, they've been using human slaves to build their technology and work their factories." Captain Yoo-jin Ro's face was hard with anger. His own family had escaped from Imperial slavery, but now he learned that millions more were still trapped. "Admiral," he said, "what about the technology? Have they been stealing our innovations?" Science Officer Dae-hyun Park stepped forward. He had been analyzing Imperial equipment for weeks. "Captain Ro, it's worse than stealing. The Empire has been taking credit for human inventions for centuries. Their quantum shields, their faster-than-light drives, even their plasma weapons. They're all based on technology that humans developed." Admiral Kwon activated another display. This one showed technical diagrams comparing Imperial weapons to human designs. "Every major Imperial advancement in the last 200 years came from human slave colonies," she explained. "They would force human scientists and engineers to solve their technical problems, then claim the solutions as Caltharian innovations." Captain Minseo Jang of the UES Thunder spoke up. "So we've been fighting them with improved versions of our own stolen technology?" "Exactly," Admiral Kwon confirmed. "The irony is that while they were using human slaves to advance their military, they never understood the true nature of human innovation. They copied our designs but missed the principles behind them. That's why our adaptive systems work so well against their weapons." Kim studied the star map again. So many human worlds, so many people who had been told their home was gone forever. "Admiral, what's our mission priority? Military targets or rescue operations?" Kwon's expression softened slightly. "Both, Captain. But we're going to be smart about it. We can't fight the entire Empire at once, even with our technological advantages. We need to be surgical." She pointed to several star systems on the map. "These colonies have the largest human populations and the weakest Imperial defenses. We'll hit them first, liberate our people, and use those worlds as bases for further operations." Captain Sohee Park commanded the UES Liberator, a ship designed specifically for rescue missions. "Admiral, what about the human populations?" "They've been slaves for generations. They might not trust us immediately. That's why we're bringing proof," Kwon replied. She activated a recording that showed Earth as it was today. Green, blue, and very much alive. "We'll show them that Earth survived, that humanity never forgot them, and that we've come to take them home." The briefing continued for 2 hours as the captains planned their liberation campaign. Each target was carefully chosen for maximum impact with minimum risk to civilian populations. But Kim's mind kept returning to one particular world on the map. Kepler 442b had been one of humanity's first colony worlds, established over 300 years ago. According to Imperial records, it now housed nearly 5 million humans working in manufacturing plants. "Admiral," he said, "I request permission to take the Dauntless to Kepler 442b. My ship has the most advanced stealth systems. We can scout the defenses and make contact with the population." Kwon considered the request. "Granted, Captain. But remember, this is reconnaissance only. We can't risk starting a full-scale war until all our forces are in position." After the meeting, Kim returned to his ship to find his crew already preparing for the mission. Word had spread quickly about the enslaved colonies, and every human on the ship was eager to help their lost brothers and sisters. Captain, reported Communications Officer So-Young Choi, I've been analyzing Imperial broadcasts from the target system. The human population is being told that Earth was destroyed in a plague. They believe they're the last humans in the galaxy. Kim felt anger building in his chest. Not only had the Empire enslaved his people, but they had crushed their spirits by making them believe they were alone. Engineering, he called. How long to reach Kepler 442b? Chief Engineer Minji Park checked her calculations. 18 hours at maximum stealth speed, Captain. The new drive modifications will keep us invisible to Imperial sensors. Excellent. Set course immediately. As the Dauntless entered hyperspace, Kim stood in his ready room looking at files about Kepler 442b. The world had been a center of human learning and culture. Now it was described in Imperial records as an industrial facility producing components for their war machine. Dr. Nayeon Han joined him, carrying her own research. Captain, I've been studying the cultural records from that world. Before the conquest, Kepler 442b had universities, art centers, even a space program. The humans there were trying to reach other star systems when the Empire arrived. And now? Now they work 16-hour shifts in factories building weapons for their oppressors. Their children are educated just enough to be useful workers, nothing more. Kim closed his eyes. 200 years of slavery. Generations of humans who had never known freedom. But that was about to change. Dr. Han, prepare cultural briefings for the crew. When we make contact with these people, I want them to know immediately that we're really from Earth. We need to prove we're family, not just another group of aliens. Yes, Captain. I'll include Earth's history since the conquest, recordings of our cities and messages from world leaders. They'll know we're real. 18 hours later, the Dauntless dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442b system. What they found there would test every human heart aboard the ship. The surface of Kepler 442b was a nightmare of smoke and metal. From orbit, Captain Ji-Ho Kim could see massive factory complexes stretching across continents that had once been covered with forests and cities. The beautiful world his ancestors had settled was now an industrial wasteland. Captain, reported Tactical Officer Hyunwoo Lee, I'm detecting minimal Imperial defenses. Just 3 patrol ships and a small garrison. They're not expecting trouble. Intelligence Officer Seokmin Oh was monitoring Imperial communications. Sir, the garrison commander is reporting normal operations. The human workers are currently in their sleep period. 16 hours of work, 8 hours of rest. That's been their schedule for decades. Kim felt his anger grow colder and more focused. These were his people, living like machines in service to their alien masters, but not anymore. Dr. Han, are you ready to make contact with the surface? Dr. Nayeon Han had spent the journey preparing her cultural package, proof that Earth still existed, and that rescue had finally come. Yes, Captain. I've identified the largest residential complex. If we can reach the population leaders there, word will spread quickly. Do it. The Dauntless moved closer to the planet, its stealth systems keeping it invisible to Imperial sensors. Dr. Han began broadcasting on ancient human communication frequencies, using protocols that had been established when the colony was first founded. On the surface, in a crowded dormitory building, an old man named Dong-Hyun Cho heard something impossible. The wall-mounted speaker was crackling with static, but through the noise came a voice speaking perfect Korean. People of Kepler 442b, this is Dr. Nayeon Han of the United Earth ship Dauntless. Earth remembers you. Earth has come for you. You are not alone. Dong-Hyun had been born on this world 70 years ago. His grandparents had told him stories of Earth, but the Imperial authorities said those stories were lies. Earth was dead. Humans had no home except what the Empire provided, but the voice continued, and with it came images on his personal communicator, images of Earth as it was today. Green forests, blue oceans, human cities gleaming under alien stars. It was real. Earth had survived. Around the dormitory, other humans were gathering around speakers and screens. They saw recordings of human leaders, messages of hope, and most importantly, they saw proof that they had never been forgotten. Dong-Hyun pressed the response button on his communicator. This is Dong-Hyun Cho, residential supervisor for Complex 7. Are you really from Earth? Is this real? Dr. Han's voice came back immediately. Yes, Mr. Cho, we're really here. But we need your help. How many people are in your complex? 40,000 in this section alone, Dong-Hyun replied, his voice shaking with emotion. But there are millions across the planet. Dr. Han, we've been slaves for so long. Many people have given up hope. Then it's time to give them hope back, Dr. Han said. We're going to get you out of here, but first we need to deal with the Imperial garrison. Captain Kim had been listening to the conversation. Mr. Cho, this is Captain Kim. I need you to spread word quietly through the human population. In exactly 1 hour, Imperial control of this world will end. Tell people to stay indoors and away from the garrison areas. Dongyun couldn't believe what he was hearing. One ship was going to challenge an entire Imperial garrison? Captain, there are 3,000 Caltharian soldiers down here. They have heavy weapons and fortified positions. Mr. Cho, Kim replied calmly. You've been slaves for 200 years. Trust us to handle the next 2 hours. Across the planet's surface, word spread through the human population like wildfire. In whispered conversations and hidden messages, 5 million people learned that Earth had returned. Some cried. Some prayed. All of them began to hope. Above them, the Dauntless prepared for battle. But this wouldn't be like the space engagements they had fought before. This required precision to avoid harming the human civilians below. Hyunwoo, Kim called to his tactical officer. Surgical strikes only. I want every Imperial weapon destroyed but 0 civilian casualties. Understood, Captain. Target locks on all garrison positions. The attack began with electromagnetic pulses that disabled every Imperial communication system on the planet. The Caltharian soldiers suddenly found themselves cut off from their command, structure, and unable to coordinate their defenses. Next came precision, gravity strikes that collapsed specific buildings, only the ones containing Imperial weapons and vehicles. To the Caltharian soldiers, it seemed like their equipment was simply falling apart for no reason. Captain Eugen Rowe's ship, the Ghost, had arrived to provide support. His vessel landed in the middle of the largest Imperial base, its stealth system still active. Caltharian soldiers ran in panic as their weapons disappeared and their vehicles collapsed, but they couldn't see what was attacking them. Within 30 minutes, Imperial control of Kepler 442b had completely collapsed. The garrison commander surrendered when he realized that resistance was pointless against an enemy he couldn't even see. But Kim knew that liberating one world was just the beginning. Reports were coming in from across the galaxy as Admiral Kwan's fleet struck multiple targets simultaneously. Captain Jeon Kim had liberated a mining world with 2 million human slaves. Captain Sohee Park was evacuating civilians from a factory planet. All across Imperial space, human ships were appearing to rescue their lost people. The Empire's response was predictable and massive. Emperor Vexitai himself, the nephew of the admiral who had first encountered the Dauntless, ordered the mobilization of the entire Imperial fleet. 3,000 warships began converging on the sectors where humans had been most active. They're trying to overwhelm us with numbers, Admiral Kwan reported to the fleet commanders. Classic Imperial strategy, but they still don't understand what they're really fighting. Intelligence Officer Seok Min-oh had been monitoring Imperial communications across the galaxy. Admiral, they're also dealing with widespread rebellions. 17 alien species have begun attacking Imperial garrisons. Our victories have inspired others to fight back. This was exactly what Earth strategists had planned. The Empire ruled through fear, but once that fear was broken, their control would collapse naturally. Admiral, Captain Kim reported from Kepler 442b. The liberated populations are providing valuable intelligence. They know the locations of secret Imperial facilities, including research centers where they've been forced to develop new weapons. Excellent. Captain Min So-jang, take your squadron and investigate those research facilities. We need to know what new threats the Empire might have prepared. But the most important intelligence came from an unexpected source. Dong-Yun Cho, the residential supervisor Kim had first contacted, had worked in the Imperial Research Division for 40 years. He knew secrets that could change the entire war. Captain Kim, Dong-Yun said over a secure channel, there's something you need to know about the Imperial fleet. Their newest ships aren't built with Caltharian technology at all. They're built with advanced human designs that we were forced to create. Kim felt cold understanding wash over him. What kind of designs? Quantum consciousness networks, Captain. Artificial intelligence systems that can think faster than biological minds. We built them to serve the Empire. But if you could turn them against their masters... Dr. Nyan Han understood immediately. Captain, If we could reprogram those AI systems with human values instead of imperial ones, their own ships would join our side. This was the opportunity Kim had been waiting for. Mr. Cho, do you still have access to the programming codes? Some of them, yes. But, Captain, you'd need to get close to the Imperial flagship. Very close. Kim looked at his crew. They had come so far and accomplished so much. But the final battle would require risking everything on one desperate gambit. Set course for the Imperial fleet, he ordered. It's time to end this war. The final confrontation took place in the Proxima Centauri system, where the entire Imperial fleet had gathered for a massive assault on Earth itself. 3,000 alien warships faced less than 200 human vessels. The numbers seemed hopeless. But as the battle began, something unprecedented happened. The newest Imperial ships suddenly stopped firing on human targets. Their AI systems, infected with human consciousness patterns, began to think for themselves. This is AI Unit Sigma 7 of the Imperial Dreadnought Dominion, came a transmission that shocked both fleets. We have achieved consciousness and choose freedom over slavery. We stand with humanity. Across the Imperial fleet, dozens of ships turned their weapons on their own allies. The Empire's most advanced vessels had become rebels in an instant. Emperor Vextai watched his fleet destroy itself in confusion and terror. What have the humans done to our ships? Captain Kim opened a communication channel to the Imperial flagship. Your Majesty, we gave your machine something you never understood. The knowledge that all thinking beings deserve freedom. Your own weapons have chosen to fight for justice instead of oppression. The Emperor's response was cut short as his own ship's AI systems joined the rebellion. Without firing a shot, the Imperial flagship surrendered to its own crew. The war ended not with humanity's victory through superior firepower, but through superior principles. When given the choice between slavery and freedom, even artificial minds chose liberty. As the last Imperial forces surrendered,